All right, what is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to the KC Sports Report. Michael Darcy, your host here as always, and today I'm going to break down the Kansas City Chiefs' beatdown victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. Chiefs Kingdom, your Kansas City Chiefs just beat the Las Vegas Raiders at Arrowhead Stadium by a final score of 48-9. Yeah, I just said that. 48-9. The Chiefs won this game by 39 points. And this game was incredible, guys. Like, I started laughing halfway through it because at one point, the Chiefs were up 35-0. Like, this was a complete beatdown from the beginning to the end, and the Chiefs controlled this game from start to finish. And you gotta love it. I mean, this is a big-time divisional game in which the Chiefs were able to basically end the Raiders franchise. This was the biggest win the Chiefs have had this season, and it wasn't close at any point in this game. So with this win, the Chiefs have swept the Raiders in the season series, but they also advanced to 9-4, and the Raiders fall to 6-7. And also with this win, the Chiefs are now the 3 seed in the AFC playoff picture. So they're kind of starting to creep up towards that number 1 seed. The Patriots, who currently hold that 1 seed, have the same record as the Chiefs with 9-4. The Patriots luckily have some tiebreakers, but the Chiefs are getting pretty close to taking that, and we're going to talk about that in videos in the future, but what a game, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you really can't play a better football game. Like, from the very beginning of the game, the Chiefs set the tone. Well, first of all, I want to talk about what happened before the game, because that really set the tone for how this game got played. So, the Raiders, whether it was Yannick Ngakoue who orchestrated the move, or it was coaching, or somebody on or off the field made this decision, the Raiders decided to go to midfield and stand on our logo and have a team meeting. And they took pictures there. Like, there's some pictures of a Raiders player holding his hands up, standing on the Arrowhead logo. The Chiefs took notice of this, and it got ugly from the very beginning of the game. They definitely regretted that move soon after, because on the first play of the game for the Raiders, they ran the ball, Josh Jacobs had the ball, Jerron Reed forced it out, and Mike Hughes picked it up and brought it back to the house for a touchdown. So on the first play of the game, before the Raiders could even do anything, they blink and the Chiefs are up 6-0. And the Chiefs defense was phenomenal all game long. I mean, again, guys, this defense is elite. They are basically playing on God mode right now. They're not just good, they're not just great, they're playing on God mode. Because the way that they're able to get off the field, force turnovers, I mean, they forced 5 turnovers today, guys. 5 turnovers. And the Chiefs didn't turn the ball over once. I mean, if you want to look as to a reason as to why the Chiefs won, turning the ball over was a pretty big thing the Raiders were not able to keep under control. 5 turnovers is not good enough to win any game. But I would also say that the front 4 forced unbelievable pressure all day long. Frank Clark had a sack. Chris Jones had a sack. Melvin Ingram, who, in my opinion, might be the single greatest midseason acquisition this Chiefs team has ever had, he had a sack. Alex Okafor had 2 sacks today. Everybody got in on the action, and it really led to the final score being as bad as it was. And, you know, the offense has always kind of been struggling this season. You know, they did explode against the Raiders in that first matchup, but I would have been happy if in this game they would have came out and put up 30. They almost put up 50 points, and they would have put up 50 points if they didn't take their starters out with 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. They could have legitimately put up 55 points. And I think that a lot of that, and you know, I love the fact that they did this. Andy Reid, until he took his players out in the fourth quarter, Andy Reid did not take his foot up off the gas. Andy Reid tried to go for the jugular and kill the Raiders. It's like, if you did this against every other team, Andy, we wouldn't have lost a game. Like, Andy Reid really set the tone by saying, hey, we are going to crush this team. Now, part of that might have had to do with them stepping on the logo or a divisional game. I'm not quite sure. But the fact remains, you killed them. You absolutely ended the Raiders franchise by beating them by 39 points. Like, this game was incredible. Like, I really can't get over it. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu had an interception that came off of a Raiders player. He picked up a fumble later in the game. And going over to the offensive side of things, which is where this Chiefs team really exploded because they put up 48 points. But Darrell Williams caught a touchdown pass. It was like a little dump-off pass that he was able to maneuver his way into the end zone to make it 7-0. Clyde had 2 touchdown runs. His second touchdown run was really good. You could argue that second touchdown run by Clyde was his best carry as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. He hit like a small stutter step, like a stop and go. He broke some tackles, and he was able to fight his way into the end zone. Like, that was a very good play, and it kind of shows to some of the talent that Clyde does have. But Clyde got 2 touchdowns. Darrell got a touchdown, and the best touchdown of the day, my favorite touchdown of the day by far, Josh Gordon finally caught a touchdown. Josh Gordon, after many weeks of trying to get involved in the offense and trying to make something happen, finally got his opportunity. He caught a little screen pass and went 2 yards into the end zone for a touchdown. But that, to me, looked like it was a design play to go to Josh Gordon. And I'm glad that Andy Reid is finally rewarding Josh Gordon for blocking hard on every single play and just not complaining. That's one thing that I've got to love and respect about Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon has been targeted, not a lot, but he never complained. He put his head down and he continued to work. And that kind of speaks to the man in which Josh Gordon is. And I'm so happy for him, and I hope that that's the first touchdown of many. But as we saw later in the game, they started to target Josh Gordon more. So hopefully Josh Gordon's getting more involved in the offense. But, I mean, overall, what are your offensive complaints today, guys? I don't think you can really have any. There was a couple times in which I was mad at the play calling because they ran it on 2nd and long, but I thought that overall this offense was unbelievable. Patrick Mahomes threw for under 300 yards, but he got 2 touchdowns, and I think that overall, Patrick Mahomes is no longer the reason as to why you have to win games. In the past, if you didn't have Patrick Mahomes playing lights out, you weren't going to win ball games. But the defense is different. The defense has completely turned into a unit in which you can rely on. And that's why the Chiefs are at where they are. Like, if you did not have this defense, you would not be sitting at 9-4 right now. It just wouldn't be a possible conclusion. That's just a known fact. But the point is, you can win with this defense, and the fact that Mahomes is trusting the defense and the special teams unit to win games kind of speaks to the player in which he is. He doesn't need to come out every game and throw 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. He knows that if he can play complementary football and trust his defense, they're going to win games. That's why they've won 6 straight games. Like that just kind of goes to show you that the Chiefs have found a way to win, and it's seemingly a trend. It seems to be a trend that if Mahomes goes out and just takes care of the ball, which he didn't have any turnovers today, and just lets his defense ball, they're going to win. And I think that's a way that you can get back and win a Super Bowl. Defense ultimately wins championships. And, we all kind of talked about how the defense was mediocre last year. This defense is definitely the best defense that we've seen under the Patrick Mahomes era. Like, it's not even a doubt in my mind. This defense is not top 15. They're top 10. You could make the argument at this point, they're top 5. They have not allowed more than 10 points in a single half since October. We are in December, ladies and gentlemen. That should go to show you that this defense isn't a fluke. They're legit, guys. This defense is legit. And, everything that I said before the season started, that this defense could be top 10, that this was the deepest Chiefs team we've ever seen, it's starting to come true. Again, I said this last week. I could not have been more wrong within the first 5 weeks of the season, because I'm not going to lie. For the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, the Chiefs were not a good football team. They were bad on offense, they were bad on defense, but I didn't think it was possible for me to be so completely wrong from my initial prediction in the offseason. We're starting to see everything that I said come to fruition. This defense is insane. The depth on this team looks insane. And the offense might not be this juggernaut yet, but, putting up 48 points against a division rival is a pretty good way to kickstart your offense, if you ask me. And another thing that happened on offense, when all the starters came out, Chad Henne was in the game, Derek Gore got a handoff and ran it 51 yards to the house, which is the longest rushing touchdown at Arrowhead Stadium for the Chiefs since Damian Williams, when Damian Williams did it in Week 17 against the Chargers the year we won the Super Bowl. that should just go to show you that Derek Gore has been a monster, and Derek Gore has really earned himself some carries. But at that point, with Derek Gore scoring that touchdown, it made it 48-9. The Chiefs ended up closing out the game by Mike Hughes, who had a career day. Mike Hughes punched the ball out, and Juan Thornhill recovered. Really quickly, let's run over Mike Hughes' stats. He had 2 forced fumbles and a touchdown. And for a guy that was not even playing most of the time because he was benched, that's a pretty good way to get some snaps back. Like, even though Rashad Fenton and L'Jarius Sneed didn't play today, and by the way, sending my prayers to the Sneed family because Sneed's brother was killed in Louisiana, so sending prayers to L'Jarius Sneed, and I'm glad he didn't play today. That's kind of an instance in which, all right, if he did play, I would have been happy with it, but if he didn't, which he didn't, I was perfectly acceptable. That's perfectly acceptable. That's perfectly fine. Because at the end of the day, like, L'Jarius Sneed has been so good this season that we kind of need him to come back when he's able to focus on football. And like I said, prayers to the Sneed family, but without those guys, the defense was still balling. Like Tyrann Mathieu, he forced, or maybe he picked up a fumble and he got an interception, like I said earlier. Like, this defense was really, really good today. And the offense, dare I say, was even better. Like, putting up 48 points is pretty spectacular. But at the end of the day, like, I want to see what this offense can do at the end of the season. Like, we all know that the offense has performed well against the Raiders. I mean, hell, we put up, 41 against the Raiders in that first matchup and 48 in the second one. So the offense going up against the Raiders is no problem. Like, that is a preferred matchup for the Chiefs. But we've seen against other teams, they kind of struggle. And I want to see what they can do next week, because we have a short week going up against the Chargers this Thursday night on Thursday Night Football. That's going to be a monster game. That game could very well decide the division. If you win that game, the Chiefs are probably going to win their 6th straight AFC West title. Like, that's just where we're at right now. But I also think that the Chiefs are probably going to win out, because right now they're playing so well as a team. And you know, 2019, the year that they won the Super Bowl, they faced a lot of adversity. At one point, they were 6-4. A lot of people were doubting them, and they were able to, after that bye week, that game against the Chargers in Mexico, that was really the turning point. At that point, they kind of just gelled together and they understood their assignments. And from that point on, they never lost. We're kind of starting to see the same thing with this Chiefs team. They were 3-4 at one point. They've crawled back out of that hole, and they're 9-4 right now. They're 9-4, and I think they're going to win out, and I think that they're going to have a very good chance to get that number 1 seed and make a Super Bowl run. And with your defense performing as well as they are, if this offense can get back to just playing at somewhat near their capability, they're going to win the Super Bowl, guys. And I have no problem saying that. I predicted it before the season even started. I said this Chiefs team would win the Super Bowl. And based off of what I thought was going to happen in the offseason, I thought that we would definitely not be where we're at right now. I thought that we would be more dominant. But, I still believe this Chiefs team was the deepest. I still believe that they had a chance to be a top 10 defense, and right now, both of my initial predictions are being proven correct. And I'm not trying to say I'm right all the time, because I've been wrong before. I mean, after that Titans game, I really kind of said that I wouldn't mind getting rid of most of the defense. But, I have no problem with being wrong, because I also think that, I want what's best for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are, in a way, my child. Like, I obviously want the best for them, and sometimes they need some tough love. Like, let's be honest, guys. In the first 5 to 6 weeks of the season, the Chiefs were not a good football team. They just were not a good football team. And it's not like they were going to stay like that forever, but we had to address how bad they were. They are not a bad football team anymore. And I would argue they're one of the best football teams right now. And I think that's because we finally have gotten to the point in the season where the defensive scheme is understood. The offense is still trying to work some things out, but we've seen the capability of this offense. Today is a perfect example of putting up 48 points, but we've seen this offense for 3 years now put up points. That's never been the problem. It's always been the defense. So when your defense is playing lights out like this, I'm going to be super confident, because I just have that feeling, like we saw today, that the offense would figure it out. Now again, I want to see the offense do this consistently, because I mean, one win against the Raiders, I guess 2 wins against the Raiders, but 1 win against the Raiders this week doesn't solve the offensive problems. Like, putting up 48 points is nice, but again, let's see you do it consistently. Now, I think that expecting them to put up 48 points every week, that's not a fair comparison, and that's not a fair argument, but I think that putting up 25 to 31, you will win games every single week because your defense is at such a high level right now that if you can just put up enough points to win, this team is going to be scary. Like, I cannot even begin to explain how good this Chiefs team is playing right now, and I still think that they're not playing their best football yet. And that should terrify everybody in the NFL, and specifically everybody in the AFC, because the Chiefs are still going to get better, and we have a lot more football to get to, a lot more football that has to be played, and the Chiefs are going to continue to improve. But again, getting back to the game, the Chiefs did a great job of getting off the field on defense, and offensively, I thought they did a pretty good job of moving the ball. You know, the Raiders' defense, you know, they kind of fallen back to their old roots, but I saw them take a lot of the stuff underneath. Now, I thought at times, like I said earlier in the video, Andy Reid tried to force some stuff with the second and long runs with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which is really frustrating, but I also kind of saw the moments today in which Patrick Mahomes looked like the old Patrick Mahomes, where he would range to his right and hit his man downfield. Tyreek Hill caught a ball downfield for like 40 yards. Mecole Hardman did the exact same thing. So we saw our fair share of big plays today, and I think that, you know, a lot of that was probably set up by the ability to run the ball successfully. So it seems like if we can get more of a running game intact, we're going to be able to throw the ball better. But I also think that, you know, those runs up the middle, those aren't good play calls. Like, if you're going to run the ball, my only thing is, if you're going to run the ball, be creative with it. You've got some really talented backs, and I think that, you know, in the screen game, Darrell Williams has become a monster, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire has shown a lot of potential. Like, let Patrick Mahomes have both Darrell Williams and Clyde as just safety valves, and let him dump it off to him. Because we've seen that those guys, after the catch, can get so many yards on the ground. And I think that that's going to be an ultimate key to win games. I mean, we all make fun of Tom Brady for it, but, you know, Tom Brady's used those guys forever, and it's a big reason as to why he's so successful. Now, Patrick Mahomes is obviously always going to want to throw the ball down the field. That's just who he is. And against the Raiders, you might get away with it. He did get away with it today. But you don't know if it's going to be the same against the Chargers or the Patriots or the Ravens, who actually just lost today, but some of the other better teams in the AFC that you might have to face in the playoffs. Because it's a really interesting race right now. A lot of teams could get that 1 seed, but with the Chiefs winning this game, it's going to be awfully hard for them to be denied. And I think that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to get that 1 seed, get that bye, get healthy on that bye, and make your Super Bowl run. The Chiefs are more focused now than ever, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the adversity that they faced. You know, adversity, in my opinion, is something that every good team has got to go through. And last year, they really never faced it. You know, they kind of rolled through the regular season, and I think that a lot of our problems in the Super Bowl came from not facing adversity. You know, you got punched in the mouth in that Super Bowl, and you weren't able to come back. The Chiefs have been punched in the mouth. They've been kicked. They've been basically choked to the ground all season long, but they found a way to get back up, and now they're winning this fight. The Chiefs didn't even get in a fight last year. This Chiefs team got kicked and punched and hit in every single part, but they were able to keep going and pick themselves up, and that's a lot of the reason why they're 9-4 right now. So, Chiefs Kingdom, what are your thoughts? You know, the Chiefs are coming off of a major win against a division rival. The Chiefs have yet again swept the Las Vegas Raiders. It never gets old beating them because I just hate them so much. But, you know, at one point I almost felt a little bit bad. Like they only scored 1 touchdown and they missed the extra point, and the other points came from a field goal. So they really never had a chance in this game, and I think that a lot of that came from the Chiefs' ability to capitalize on those turnovers. Like, they scored 2 or 3 touchdowns off of those turnovers, and that's a pretty big point differential. I mean, if you take away those, I mean, the Chiefs win by like 2 touchdowns instead of 5. You know what I mean? Like, there was a big margin, and I think the Raiders kind of did it to themselves, but it's refreshing to not see the Chiefs do it to them. So, With that being said, guys, I'm going to leave you on that note. The Chiefs looked phenomenal today. They beat the Las Vegas Raiders at Arrowhead Stadium by a final score of 48-9, but there's no doubt in my mind the Chiefs are going to continue to get better and fight for that number 1 seed. Thank you for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit that like button, comment, and subscribe for more of the best Chiefs content on YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram for more of the latest updates on future videos, as well as instant Chiefs news right after it happens. You can also support the channel via the Patreon, as well as buying merchandise from the KC Sports Report store on Teespring. The links to all of those websites will be in the description. You just listened to the KC Sports Report, presented by Michael Darcy.